It's going hard, walks, starts talking a lot. Cool, that's a nice, good to hear. It's almost, how is it? Is he already won by now? I've lost track when everything happened. October 2nd. Ah, so almost. Cool. Good to hear he's doing fine. Oh, two. Jesus. Yeah. It goes fast. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so recording is started. Let's dive into it. So not too much has changed. Basically, we are still in that major range. This is our big range. Range low, range high, and then we swept the low again. We got to move up. We did not reach the range high, but we started distributing before reaching the range high with this Model 1, bearish period 3, range high deviation. You can give it like 3 or 4 different names, but it all comes down to the same principle. That it failed to push higher and bigger players started to distribute. So since there we broke back in the range with this move down. And until proven otherwise, I just see a clean internal downtrend with lower highs, lower lows, lower high, lower low. And until proven otherwise, I expect this to simply be a market structure continuation. Market structure eventually always overrules everything else. And if you watch how do you move into your last low, then you see that this is a very aggressive move without any solid structure. So until proven otherwise, I just think this will be a lower high for a lower low, because we have confluence of bearish market structure. We have this Model 1 distribution with the technical target being the range low. So there is an objective to move into the range low. So combining those things together, I just think this is obvious to eventually move lower. Only thing is that you could also make the case that you have like a low time frame bullish break, which is also the case because we have the classic reversal setup created right here with that low, a lower high, swing failing our market structure low, so we did not break below it, but we SFP'd it, which means that you can retest your high. That's now your weak targeted high, which is also your market structure high, so that one is broken. So here you can say this is your bullish break of structure. So you have a bullish break right here, which is true, but then you have to kind of see market structure in different levels, because we have high time frame market structure, which in my opinion is this bearish pool, lower low, lower high, lower low. And until proven otherwise, I think this is simply the most logical way. However, to move from your low here to, for example, this lower high right here, you often have internal bullish market structure, which is now the case because we broke structure bullish right here. So internally, if we clean it up, we basically have now this high, higher low, higher high, and this could end up being a, oh, there went the drawing. Can I put it back on? No. Okay. So internally we have this high, higher low, higher high. This could be the higher low for the higher high. And then continue that main bearish draw, which is this one. So market structure is like pretty obvious, but it is also like pretty difficult because you can have those different levels of market structure overlapping, in which we now have like a local bullish market structure right here, but to come up into either this point or this point, you need to have like bullish structure to continue your main bearish structure. I hope that is clear. And for now, like yesterday we had that move down where we first had the 1, 2, 3 right here. This one did not sweep the low, so we just front ran the low, otherwise it would have been super clean by completing at Model 1 distribution and then flowing over into a Model 1 accumulation. but instead we front ran that low and pushed aggressively higher, invalidating this this bearish tree drive basically. And right now we are holding above. I am in a short position, but my stop loss is like just above this high. So I will explain why I took that trade, because normally I don't trade during London. And the reason for that is that you are often just in a choppy position, just as today, where first you think, oh, it's going well, but yeah, it's not worth your time, like 9 out of 10 times, to be in a position from London onwards. So that's, I rarely do it, but in this case, I wanted to give it a shot, simply because I could see that this is already our high, and that we then move lower from here. And if that is the high, it could also be our weekly high. So I just want to be in a short position in case we already push down. However, the higher probability short is higher up right here. I like this zone a lot, which is 64.7k, because we have remaining supply right here. We have the VIP confluence, and each time Bitcoin has made like deep mitigations. So here we saw super deep mitigation before selling off. Here again, super deep mitigation before selling off. So if we follow that pattern, then it could again give like a really deep mitigation and then sell off from here. So I think either we already have the high in right here and start pushing lower from here, or we invalidate that idea, go here, and then I expect us to move lower from there. That's why I'm currently in a short here. If I get stopped out, I'm gonna simply watch and wait for new triggers right here to short it. I'm not really interested in longs until the signs are really clean. Either we flip above this zone, break a trend line, invalidate this supply, then I'm gonna be looking for longs, or we need to show like really clean accumulative price behavior in this demand, and then I'm gonna look for longs. But yeah, I don't know, I'm just pretty confident that we will move to that range low. So that's why I'm in that short. And the other reason is that if we simply look at local market structure, let's put on the, now let's put it off, otherwise it might be a bit blurry. If we look at, what is it? Yeah, so we have, doesn't matter to us, but like 45-minute structure here. So if we simply just ignore like the range, because I always like to draw the range, it's valid to draw the range, but if we just ignore the range and just see it like market structure, then we simply have that internal uptrend. So this is our high, this is our higher low, this is our higher high, this is our higher low. And in an uptrend or downtrend, it always tells you a lot how you make your new higher high. I think by now you guys all already know what I'm gonna say, but this is not a break. This is a swing failure, SFP. Which means that if you SFP your high and you break internal market structure, that the low that brought you into that high is technically your weak target low. And then price is very likely to retest that level. And then you have to see, do you break structure back to bearish? Because if you break this low, you have a bearish market structure break, because this is the low that brought you into that high. But if you wick it, do not close below it, then you can rotate back to your high. That's like simple market structure rules. So if we watch at that, then we have an SFP, and we like very internally today we had like this tiny 1 minute, or what is it, 5 minute uptrend with higher high, higher low, higher high, and that one was broken like here during Asia. That was already broken. So this is like your low time frame break, and your more significant break is this one right here, which is like, what is it? It's 15 minutes. Yeah, it's 15 minutes bearish break. So that technically to me tells that this is our SFP high. We have a bearish break, so price is very likely to move back to this weak targeted low, which is also our market structure low. So I'm expecting price to rotate to this low, unproven otherwise. And then some extra confluence is that we have our daily low at our 0 and our daily high at our 4, which could both be potentially strong Asia pivots. But if we take one of them out, the other becomes strong, which means that if we take out the high, the low becomes super strong, and it's likely that we continue much higher for today. But if we take out the low, which I'm mostly expecting because we have that SFP set up and a bearish pulse, so this is the weak target low, so likely to be taken out. And that would mean that if you take out that low, our high becomes super strong, and the low becomes weak. So for me, quite a lot of reasons to just bet on this high holding and the low be taken out. And then that could potentially, because it's Tuesday, also be our weekly high. But I'm looking to build up that short. It's not a big short yet. Also because I think I can also see it be invalidated and that we take that high and then get that move here. And then I want to build in a new short if I'm able to. So I'm far from like in a full size short, because then it hurts to be wiped out and try it again. So I'm flexible right now. But overall I think we are pretty likely to move lower, but we should see some weakness soon. We had some, what do we have? Yeah, you could have said that this is like your extreme supply. So that is where you want to see some weakness if we move into it. But if we indeed hold our high, as I expect, and we start breaking lower, then yesterday with this aggressive move up, this super clean demand is left behind. However, I do not really trust this demand, simply because context wise, it's always super important to keep the bigger context in mind, but we are simply in a bearish trend. So then continuing lower is the more likelihood than reacting. So supply levels or lower highs are more likely than forming a higher low or respecting demand. So I don't think this demand will be super strong. It might seem strong, but I don't think it is. Also because this squeeze was mostly caused by shorts getting wiped out and not really genuine buying. Which means that normally if it's like real buyers stepping in right here, then they will defend their positions. But in this case, it's mostly, there were buyers stepping in here, but like this big impulse, we're mostly shorts getting squeezed. So people getting super bearish beginning of the week, opening a lot of shorts, and that's just easy liquidity to wipe them out, and then eventually reverse price. So personally, very simple plan. Either this is the high and we rotate to this low, and if we take this low, I expect us to go lower towards 61.5, our range low. If we squeeze up higher and take out that high, then I expect to move into the like 65k supply zone, and then watch for reactions there. And then it depends a lot if we form that high today or tomorrow, because if we start making new highs, then we could get a bullish week, in which higher prices are likely. But for now, I'm simply expecting lower, which USDT kind of tells the same. We have that key level where bulls need to hold, At least they want to print the higher low anywhere in this region. And right now we tapped into this supply demand zone. You can even refine it to that lowest demand zone with the fib confluence. So now for confirmation we want to break our internal bearish structure, which is low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So if we break this high, then we have like a bullish break, and then it's likely we rotate back to that high, and then probably new highs. For now we have bearish structure, so this can also just be a lower high for a lower low, where technically we can also still put in a higher low, but yeah, if the trend is strong, you don't want too deep of a mitigations. So also here pretty key level. So I wanted to have a quick look at the order flow. First the stats. If we look at it from a neutral perspective, so no clean bias, then it's a little bit behaving more like a bullish day, because we are holding above that median level. Also here looks more like a bullish day, not really like a bearish day. But if it is going to be a bearish day, then that high is the clean invalidation. So there are a lot of reasons why that high is like super clean invalidation. If we take it out, it's simply going to be a bullish day, and then it's also likely to travel higher up towards like 64.6. So pretty clean invalidation. But because both pivots are in Asia low and Asia high, yeah, it can go both ways. So not a super clean bias based on the stats, but more interested in what the order flow has to say. Yeah, so that drawing that Temptation sent, that's what I'm expecting to play out. Like a model 2, if it gives a retrace. Most likely. Let's see. Yeah, so based on this, like, this all does not tell much. The only thing here is like yesterday you can see that price went down right here, open interest went up, meaning people were opening positions within the direction of the market. So price went down, open interest up, likely that people started opening shorts, expecting lower prices. And right after what happened afterwards, you can clearly see that that was indeed the case, because afterwards price started to push up and open interest started to decline. So the people that opened shorts on the way down, they got wiped out when price started to move upwards. So with this you can clearly see that this is a short squeeze, which is like not real buying. You want to have like real buying that is showing strength. This is more like just overconfident shorters that got wiped out. So that also gives a bit of context. Let's see. So still to the upside, basically nothing left behind from a liquidity perspective to move into except this poor high. And on the downside we have like still this 1, 2, 3 stacked poor lows with a daily point of control right here, 58. But overall I think yeah, because we're also in a bearish trend with not really any liquidity to the upside, we have more liquidity to the downside. Until proven otherwise, simply expecting lower high. The only question is, do we already have our lower high, or do we move into this supply zone and form our lower high there? Okay, so what we locally see is that we get quite a lot of buying at that high, which got absorbed So that's also pretty good confluence that if we want to travel lower, they should stay trapped. And yeah, it's not telling too much. So I'm basically expecting what I already said to play out lower. Or we squeeze out and then look for shorts there. So that's the view on Bitcoin, and I'm currently mostly interested in Bitcoin because I think it gives the cleanest view. And the other alts are simply giving the same view. So like Sol also shared yesterday, but to me it's like in the middle of nowhere. Not really in a range, just slowly bleeding down, and that's not the price action I have a big edge or anything. So I do expect, unproven otherwise, this to travel lower. Also because like we are leaving the lows, so this is not how you build a strong bottom. So even if we go up, I think eventually we will form a new range, maybe range low, range high, and then take out that low. But overall, I think this is also just in a downtrend until proven otherwise. Hype is, however, showing strength, is squeezing independently from the rest of the market, which is typical for Hype to do. But here we basically swept our range low where we have been waiting on for a long time, and are now squeezing higher. So that is pretty good, because that could validate this as our second tap of accumulation, in which we can look for the third tap formation, although it needs way more development, because if we look at structure here once again, well, you can start all the way there, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then like your main pool, and I don't even have to look at the time frame to find out which one it is, but your higher time frame one is this low, so this can simply be a lower high for a low low, potentially. However, we always also have, like right now on the 6 hour, 1-2 candles going up before that low, so this is also pretty significant lower time frame structure. So breaking that is also pretty significant. But if you look at the way you move down from here, I would say this is your more important market structure. But overall, I expect price to just consolidate here and then maybe squeeze higher and then come back. And then I'm super interested in longs on Hype. Simply because we are high time frame, still in an uptrend, and we have simple or range. So this could just be a replica of what we did here. It's a reaccumulation range before pushing higher, which is basically what it has been doing since existence, right here. Range, 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 range. And we are building up a lot of liquidity right here. So eventually that will be taken. But locally, I had this demand POI, which was like 2 hour. Yeah, so here we had this also like low, lower high, low, low break. So this is your local accumulation range. Break up. We did not mitigate it yet, so I'm still interested if we get like a mitigation continuation. That was why this morning in the update I said that this was my POI for potential longs, but we front ran it. So currently not interested in the trade, but I'm gonna keep an eye on this market structure level and then down here. Further not. Yeah, okay, so we have some new local demand zones created here. So have to see how that develops. Tao remains unchanged. I think this can break lower, but I cannot ignore the fact that we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3. We did not clear out the range high, and right now we are also building like liquidity there. So I'm looking to see if we can potentially get a move into this range low to complete this SFP. It's basically the same as Bitcoin. We SFP'd our high, so the target is now the low. But if we take out that low and SFP it again, then technically the high is our target of this local range, and that could be the model 1, 1, 2, 3, going over into a model 2, which is the favorite model, and then we can target the range high. So I have alerts at this level. I'm gonna put a new one in case I forget it or don't get it. That's the only setup I can see on Tau, which can be a pretty nice one. But depends how we move into that range low POI. Technically, we should get a move into this weak target low because we swing fill our high. So there we also want to swing fill our low and do not break below it. SFP it and we can target that, and then we have like an SFP trade in combination with a model 1 potentially into a model 2 setup. So that can be a promising one, but depends a lot how it moves. And then it's also really important to keep in mind that an altcoin will not move independently, because I am expecting lower on BTC until proven otherwise. But if this is going to go down, then that setup on Tau will easily be invalidated. So that is something to keep in mind. And on ETH, yeah, I'm also simply expecting the range low to play out this model 1 redistribution right here. So price could come up there and then go lower. But overall, my expectation is the range low. And this is just internal chop. But the most interesting one, let's go back here to BTC. What is it doing? Okay, so it's basically, we can see it indeed as a model 2. And this is where the market structure and ranges basically are the same, because you can see this as an SFP, but this is also why we call an SFP a potential tap 2. This is our range low, so we can indeed see this and then move down. If we look, what is the FIP right there? Yeah, so we can get a move into there, and then preferably you get also some structure there. So right now you have something like this, higher high, could be higher low, higher high. Best case scenario you get like this and then move down. That could be a new short. But the 618. Yeah, I don't have it on my chart, but I kind of blindly know that the 618 is right here. But like for Bitcoin, often it likes, what I found is that it often disrespects the 618 and likes the deeper mitigations into 7.2 or 7.8, which in this case also align with like your extreme level. However, the alts that look more interesting is still DOT, which we discussed yesterday with this PO3 setup. So range, aggressive breakdown. Here we had an SFP bullish break, or you can see it like a 2-tap setup, at least accumulative price behavior here. After the aggressive drop, then we broke back in the range and are now accepting in the range. So we still have like a lot of buy side liquidity. So I'm expecting the range highs to be next. So this is the target, but I need a setup. And I'm not gonna long it here, target the range high and put my stop right here. That for me doesn't make sense. So I'm just gonna wait to see if we can get a move back here and then get something like this, where we sweep the low into demand, then break structure, and then I can have a long with a good invalidation, and then target that high. But still super interested in this setup. We basically have like super clean 8-hour demand. Yesterday we were waiting for it to be confirmed, but right now we can see that we have it with a big imbalance as well. So do we have in between something? Okay, so we have hourly structure with hourly demand. So from a market structure perspective, you technically do not want to break your hourly back to bearish. Because if you break your hourly back to bearish, it's likely you get a deeper move. But personally, I'm gonna wait. Hopefully we break that hour, because high time frame is still bullish. But if you want to just follow the trend, you can also look to join in here. Maybe you SFP the low, and then it could continue. But then you have to use like tight stops where you can easily de-risk it, which requires much more attention and low time frame trading. So personally, I'm just gonna wait to see if we get that move into here. Otherwise, I'm not interested in getting involved already. Same is true for Dodge, where we have that this 1, 2, 3. So we basically already have our third tap of the Wyckoff, which is the invalidation. So that one needs to hold if this is indeed a accumulation. And it looks clean, as explained yesterday, because we have a lot of liquidity to the upside. We have the big wicks exactly at our Wyckoff taps. So a lot of selling right here, first tap, a lot of selling at our second tap, a lot of selling at our third tap, indicating that there is a lot of sell pressure at those levels, but price is failing to break lower. So someone is absorbing that selling, which is likely a big player, market makers. So locally, the question is, where is an entry then? And the highest probability one is a retrace into this level, which is our extreme demand, which will be super solid, because then you are also close to your invalidation. The closer you are to your invalidation, the higher your RR is. So that's a super interesting level. And the other one I have is basically this demand, which is 2-hour demand. And currently we are mitigating this supply. So I'm hoping to, like, we are sweeping the highs. And this is where I'm not interested in a short, because we are technically in a confirmed accumulation. So then you have to be careful going counter context, but technically this could turn into a local redistribution to push price down here and then move up. Or hopefully to that one there and then push up. Because price is now taking out this, or at least mitigating this supply. So that's BTC tapping into the supply. Probably. Yeah, so strong move. So for the idea to remain valid, we basically now want to see weakness right here, or at least failure to make new highs and then break lower. If you get like local structure to work with, it could be a short. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But as I said, I want to have dry power in case we invalidate it. Because this was not a super, or at least not a Wyckoff trade or anything. More just a market structure setup. And unlike a clean Wyckoff model, I dare to risk more. Because there I know that my win rate is super high. And these models it's less. until we now start forming a model 2 and get structure here, break it back to bearish, then this is a model 2 distribution, and then I'm gonna put on extra size to trade it as a Wyckoff model. But back to Dodge. So we are now mitigating this supply, so I hope we can fail to break above it, then get that move down, and then simply observe how do we move into this demand. If you move into that and get like a clean internal bullish break, then that is an entry confirmation. If you do not get it, then the higher probability one is to get that at that lower level, right here. So also here alerts are set, but yeah, I think like Dodge looks super interesting because we are in a confirmed model 1. So if you do not have time to watch the charts a lot, or don't care too much about your RR, you could also make the fact that this is your protected low, your target, if this is an accumulation, which technically it is because we have a 1, 2, 3 bullish break, then your target is the range high, which is a 3R. So you can also just think, okay, I'm fine with just taking this, and then you have a 3R, which probably would take a bit of time to complete, but yeah, technically it's a valid accumulation to play. With your third tap, bullish break, we are above the fell, I believe. Yeah, above the fell. So that one can take some time, but technically also valid. But overall, I think we could chop around a bit more. Because also here we have that like meme trend lines. It's always kind of a meme, but price likes to compress within those levels, and then eventually get like an aggressive break. But yeah, mostly interested in the Dodge, the DOT, if we get that move back, and yeah, just in general BTC, and potentially Tao if it wants to go over into that model 1 into model 2. Now we can look with new market structure, which is this low, and yeah, we tapped into supply and into that 786. So if it is bearish, you basically also don't want to get like much higher than this, because then you are likely to squeeze higher. So quickly looking what it is doing here. Thanks for joining, Joel. See you tomorrow. Ondo reaccumulating. Okay, let me have a look at Ondo as the last one. Okay, some spot buying and some aggressive buying as well. And we can see a lot of buying right here. So bulls now want to hold ground and push higher and not be trapped. Also, our daily point of control is right here. So locally bulls are in control because we have this uptrend. So this can simply be continuation of the uptrend. But because a lot of buying happened here, those people can turn into trapped buys, and that's actually very interesting, because if a lot of people buy right here, which we can see they are doing, and they fail to break higher, then they are eventually forced to sell. If you then get like a bearish break right here, these positions will be trapped, which will turn into forced sellers, and then oftentimes you get that acceleration lower. So you can simply watch just this market structure low. And if price gives the confirmation of a break right there, then technically you could try a new short with this as your stop loss and then target lower. But in order for that to do, you need a breaker structure. So a new alert there. And an alert above this high. And then I have a quick look at Ondo before I have to wrap up the stream. Ondo. Okay, I have not looked at the chart in a while, but we still have this unmitigated clean demand. I would watch it from this range. So here again, and this is where market structure and ranges, if you see it often enough, you will see it yourself. What do we have? We have high, higher low, higher high, higher low, SFP, swing failure, rotation back to the low. If we now SFP it again, so do not break, then you could get a rotation back to your high. So here with SFP and then also a bearish break on the see, yeah, so here 30 minutes, 2 candles down before that high. So you have an SFP and a 30-minute breaker structure, which is the confirmation of your rotation towards your market structure low, which is also your range low. And right now we are indeed potentially reaccumulating, because we are, look, we tapped, here we have some demand, which is tapped right there, it's clean. And we do have some supply right here. Low, lower high, lower low. This is the more significant market structure. Internal structure is here. Okay, your value area high is too high up. How I will personally wait at least till this market structure break or that one. But overall, I think patience will reward here. So I could see price breaking back up here, but this is super clean supply. As you can see, range, super clean break. And it is baked by the value area low. So then I think you can get like this, retrace back into, and then have like a 1, 2, 3, model 2, accumulation, bullish break, rotation back to the high. So definitely an interesting one, but I think the distance between tap 2 and 3 here is too short. So I think this is just one tap in general, potential deviation, but then you can get supply mitigation, backtest, and then long it. That looks actually good. I'm gonna move Ondo a bit higher. So, okay, cool, looks good. And this is also, this needs to hold. At least like this deviation, because here we only have liquidity, looking weak, and with that super clean demand untapped right here, which was induced there. But yeah, this looks super clean. Oh yeah. Oh, this looks super good. This reminds me of Hype, which is also like a big range where this is your basically your range. Then you have 1, 2, 3, bullish break, technical target, range high, and then an internal accumulation bringing you towards that range high. Wait, I'm gonna show for looking what's BTC doing. Okay, let's put an alert here to see if it's already the case. But quickly looking to share hype. I have to type it. Hype. Look. Yeah, here. Okay, wait. I don't want to ruin. So let's just take this one. The reaccumulation. Yeah, similar here. So here we basically had 1, 2, 3, model 2 reaccumulation, 1, 2, 3, taking extreme liquidity, breaking back up. This is basically our range. Step 1, this was like an internal, or not an internal, but hard to trade redistribution. 2, but here we have 1, 2, 3. The moment we break back to bullish, the full move, this is our target, which is a bit similar as we have now with Ondo, because Ondo is also in a confirmed model 1 accumulation. So the target of Ondo is also this range high. And what Hype did here is very similar to what Ondo potentially is doing right now. So let's see. There it also formed a in between a range, which you can technically draw range high, range low. SFP are high, so this is basically your step 2. But we are in a confirmed model 1, model 2 accumulation, so your attention should be on longs over shorts. But what did price do here? It basically reaccumulated again. Again in a model 2 fashion. 1, 2, 3, mitigating extreme demand, breaking structure back to bullish, going towards the target. But not only towards the internal target, and also look at the liquidity, super clean. But it did not only bring price to the local model 2 target, but because this is a reaccumulation within a bigger model 2 accumulation, it brought price towards the local range high, held above, and completed the big move. This directly reminded me when I saw that Ondo chart, where Ondo had a model 1, so instead of a model 2, it had a model 1, 1, 2, 3, bullish break, and right now it's in this level. Right here. One, two, three, bullish break, reaccumulation potentially for a move into the range high. So yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye on it. Yeah, target could be, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's basically exactly the same chart, so it looks good. Are there any questions? So for BTC, I think all was pretty clear. Basically, already this high also should more or less hold. If you get a new spike, you don't want it to go much higher than this one. But this could be a model 2 in the making. We have to see in half an hour from New York Open. So it could also easily be invalidated. But if we invalidate it, then simply watching for that zone. Rejections. Okay, if there are no questions, then